Ooh! Have we got the
Patreon?
Yes! We've got a
Patreon! Hello interwebs, it's Scott from Admiralty Entertainment, and today we're looking at the Marvel Legends Hydra Trooper from Hasbro. Hydra is the go-to choice for generic bad guys in the Marvel Universe, edging out the Hand, AIM, and the Hellfire Club for when you want your heroes to punch someone more dangerous than a street thug, but don't necessarily need too much motivation to do so. The comic version of Hydra has, like so many other things in the realm of sequentially illustrated stories, been subject to retcon and expansion of its mythology over the years, going from a simple conspiracy headed by a nondescript businessman, to a secret army formed by Nazis during World War II, to a millennia-old conspiracy set in motion by immortal reptoids. But regardless of all that, Hydra remains an integral part of the villainous side of the Marvel Universe, thanks to its seemingly endless hordes of nameless cannon fodder as much as its top-tier leaders. In terms of toys, this is not the first Hydra soldier in the Marvel Legends line. While we never got the proposed Toy Biz Bring On the Bad Guys pack-in figure, in whatever form that would have finally ended up taking, the Brood Queen wave brought us a classic design in 2012, along with a fairly horrific variant. While the Mandroid wave in 2014 would bring a more modern design, which would provide the template for the Hydra 2-pack in 2017, pairing the Trooper with a Hydra Enforcer. This particular figure was announced as a solo release at Toy Fair 2020, exclusively available from Hasbro Pulse. With a lower price point, smaller, less elaborate packaging, and no Build-A-Figure piece, this is Hasbro testing the waters on a new approach to army Build-A-Figures rather than just throwing them out in the mix on a standard mass market release. The box is compact, not too much larger than the figure itself, and features no window, so you are buying blind, which, as an online exclusive, you are anyway, but those who prefer to display in packaging may be slightly disappointed with the lack of display of the figure itself. We still get the Marvel Legends series logo at the top, with a nice drawing of a horde of troopers done in black, red and white, with a Hydra logo and a trilingual Trooper label in red. The sides of the box repeat the Legends logo and illustration, with the addition of a Hasbro Pulse logo at the bottom. The illustration, originating from Steve Rogers' Captain America number 16, doesn't exactly wrap around the sides of the box, as unfurled it doesn't form one image. It's just the same graphic repeated at differing zooms on different edges of the packaging. The back of the box is pretty much all legalese apart from the trilingual Trooper label and Marvel Legends logo at the top. Top of the box has a Marvel logo, and that's it. Overall, the box certainly doesn't give a premium packaging impression, but it's not meant to in the first place. It's not going to mesh seamlessly with your existing boxed Marvel Legends, but it looks more stylish than just the mailer box presentation we've seen on some Army Builder and online exclusive attempts in the past, and most importantly, it does the job of containing the figure. Out of the box, the first thing to note is that the internal packaging is likewise minimised. There's no internal tray or twisty ties keeping the figure held in place. Instead, there's just a plastic bag holding both figure and accessories. So that's a thumbs up for reducing packaging waste, so long as the accessories don't bounce around inside too much and end up scratching the figure's paintwork. Speaking of accessories, the Hydra Trooper gets two guns, a pistol and a rifle, both of which are admittedly just reused from the Caliban series Forge, but I think they're great choices and are massive improvements on some of the weapons previous Hydra Troopers have been saddled with.
What the hell's that?
They're cast in a very nice metallic green, which looks realistic and is an appropriate complement to Hydra's corporately mandated colour scheme, but have no additional painted detail. Honestly, outside of maybe the handle grips, I don't think they really need anything, so I'm perfectly happy with them as is. The pistol is suitably nondescript high-tech, and the rifle has some great shotgun-esque vibes to it, while still looking sci-fi rifle-y, and look very in keeping with what you'd expect from Hydra tech. The figure is essentially a re-release of the previous modern Hydra soldier/trooper, with a couple of cosmetic tweaks. The sculpt is fine. The reuse of the base Bucky cap body works well, especially given that it means the figure will fit in with your existing Hydra armies. Both hands are moulded in a grasping pose, but the right hand has a dedicated trigger finger, so weapons will just plain sit better in that hand than the left. Both are actually moulded as bare hands rather than gloved, so it does look a bit weird when you see fingernails if you look real close, so it's probably best not to. There's not much in the way of painted details, as the vast majority is simply cast in the appropriate green and yellow plastic. The forearms have been cast in green and painted yellow up to the glove line, which is noticeable on close inspection, but it's a decent attempt at matching the moulded yellow pieces, though I think they probably would have had more success in moulding in yellow and painting the upper section green to match, but it's a minor matter. There are Hydra symbols on both shoulders, the belt buckle is picked out in silver, and the harness has an H for Hydra, leaving only the head for any further paint application, with only the eyes and parts of the face not hidden by the cowl. For a relatively paint-light figure, you'd be hard-pressed to really notice, or figure out what else you could realistically expect to be painted on a mass-market figure. The unique pieces on this figure, beyond the standard buck, are the head, harness, and belt, all of which are unchanged from previous uses, which is a bit of a shame since neither has the ability to store either of the weapons included with the figure itself, so you'll either have to have your troopers dual-wield, or choose one weapon and try not to lose the other. That said, there's still that same great level of sculpting detail on these pieces. The texture on the straps and belt are great, even if they're easily overlooked, and the details of various pouches with slight bulges and concavities add some nice, subtle, realistic touches. Both belt and harness can also be easily unplugged and removed if they're not your jam. The head has a great scowl for an expression, and is generic enough to work for an army builder. Articulation-wise, again, there are no surprises, as it hits the full complement of standard Legends articulation points. The head is on a ball joint, giving slight tiltability, and there's an additional hinge at the neck, allowing for good up and down movement. Arms have swivel hinges, allowing for 360-degree rotation, and a good level of extension movement, though the harness does keep the arms from being as flat against the body as they could be, but it's a relatively minimal restriction. There's a swivel at the bicep, double hinged elbow, and rotation at the wrists, with a lateral hinge on both hands. There's a good ab crunch, twist at the waist, ball joint hips, blocked slightly on the backwards motion by the butt sculpt, swivel at the top of the thigh, double joint at the knees, swivel at the boot cut, and hinge and pivots on the feet. Of course, the biggest question is how well will he fit in with your existing Hydra forces? Obviously, sculpt-wise, he works perfectly, because he's a complete repeat, but when it comes to colours there are some subtle differences if you look at them. The plastic colours are slightly different, but still within an acceptable range of the spectrum to work together en masse. The key point of difference between this trooper and the Mandroid Wave figure is the addition of the Hydra shoulder flashes, and the lack of the semi-nose covering cowl of the original release. It's much harder to tell the Pulse version from the 2-pack, as there's no distinct difference in either sculpt or deco. Both proudly display the nose, and bear a Hydra symbol on each shoulder. On mine at least, the Pulse Trooper's yellow tends slightly more towards orange than the 2-pack, while the Mandroid series is again much more obvious, with a much paler yellow plastic as well as paint on both the belt and the harness. While these differences may keep the new figure from being entirely seamless with your existing figures, I feel that these variations are subtle enough that they won't detract when you have groups of them displayed together, and actually helps create a little bit of texture to your Hydra forces. But it's going to make 3 Hydra Monty that much more difficult. For an experiment in army building, I'd call this a clear success for collectors. While a new belt with a functioning holster or a harness that would allow for storage of the rifle would have been nice upgrades, this trooper concept is clearly based around zero outlay on new parts, and I'm absolutely okay with the resulting figure. The minimal packaging and lower price point hasn't led to an inferior product, and I'd even say that the accessories are better than what have been offered with previous incarnations. This is a wonderful opportunity for people to bolster the ranks of their nameless cannon fodder easily, and cheaper than we've had the opportunity to do so. Likewise, this provides a great means to get a body to make use of your Bob, Agent of Hydra head from the Deadpool moped set. Hopefully, this is the first of many army builders to be made available like this. There's certainly the call for similar releases of Stormtroopers, Clone Troopers and Putties, before getting onto the hordes of potential options for the Marvel Legends line itself. So hopefully this is viewed as a success by the Hasbro team, and we can look forward to many more down the line. In the meantime, this is a great fun and useful figure to add to your collection. So those are my thoughts. What are yours? We're out of here for now, so be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra! Hail Hydra!
Hail Hydra.
We'll catch you next time on Admiralty Entertainment.